And welcome guys to another video of this. Now this is the second part of our little tick managing little thingamabobber. Now this is going to be the meat of the system in itself, because up till now I've explained how we use inheritance to get to this far, but this right here is going to be inherited. And the thing about this is, when you inherit from this, because this is static and it's a single instance, this is just a regular thing, which ends up pulling out using the static variable. So we can sit here and run this like nothing. Okay. Now this manager thing isn't anything unusual. I just had it here because I'm thinking about making sure that I always have access to this messenger variable, so I can add a message whenever I want. And it doesn't matter where I am in the program, I can always add it. But I'm not too sure about that just yet. But for the most part, this system is ready to be fired up the way it sits. Okay, we've got our power variables, we've got all the way up to our towers, but what's actually updating this? Okay, we have this on update and it's not really doing anything really, right? Because it's on update isn't called every single frame. It's just like this has target or get enemy. It's called outside of this class anyway. Okay, Tick Manager has the interface version of all these, but as you know, we use this in a fixed update, and we go through and update one at a time using these methods. Okay, so what actually updates us? It actually is pretty easy once you know the concept of our Tick Manager. Now, if you think about this, anything that inherits from Tick Manager will have access to this stuff, right? So, if we created a new class like Game Update or anything like this, we can have a start and we can have an update. So, we're inheriting the variables from here. We have access to all this in here, so we can go in here and go update and loop through every single one of these. This runs one frame. We go a for loop. We don't do a for each. For each is an iteration and it creates garbage collection. Okay, we use a for loop because all we need to do is call this method right here. Okay, now in the fixed update, which is a physics frame update, which this is wrong and this should be up here, we call Unity loop. Okay, which is pretty much our main loop. These are the only things that actually call this. So every single frame it updates everything. Okay, in the fixed update, it does its job that it's already been doing this whole time. But the really great thing about this is, this is our old class. Look at how this was so really ridiculously done up. I mean, we were writing it and everything else because we didn't know what direction to go into. But if you actually tried to get into any of this stuff, you really can't. Like, our power thing is protected. Our one thing here is protected. We can't even go up here and call any of this stuff. So we can even go into here and go Tick Manager dot and we have no references whatsoever. We can't go and do anything with Tick Manager because it doesn't have anything that's publicly accessible. We can go into Manager. Well, guess what? Manager doesn't have anything accessible outside of the inherited classes. Okay? Our Unit 1, pretty private. I mean, it's pretty private. There's, oh, a public on update. Okay, we can call that. And to be honest with you, we can probably no, we can't. Even if I try to shove that in a delegate, I don't think it'll let me. But I can sure try. Actually, I think I could shove that in the delegate and make it private as well. But for the most part, most of this stuff is pretty private. And we don't have any variables that are really exposed. So writing something in here and screwing with messing around with the stuff outside of the class is pretty impossible at this point. And that is very, very good because it keeps us from messing up. Like in this one, we had a lot of public stuff. Public sealed override, public get cost, build, get enemy, damage is alive. There's a lot of stuff in here. Okay. Which will probably end up being, there will have some more. But anytime you can cut out a bunch of the just nonsense of having a bunch of public stuff, you really should. It can keep you from making a lot of mistakes. Now this spawn system right here, this is our object pooler. We could probably even lower this and everything else. We could probably put our object pooler into a class like Tick Manager or something, or a unit object. Make it part of this class, because every unit's going to be shooting some form of game object. So we could probably take that dictionary, move it into this class, and make it pretty private, where you can't really do much unless you actually have access to those classes. But you know, there's always that if and but stuff. So it makes it really easy to do stuff like this. This is easy to track down. And that's the whole point of this as well. Game Updater, if I wanted to stop every unit in the game, all I'd have to do is return here. And it will stop it'll stop every single one of my units. From my towers to my enemy units, it will stop every single one of them in its tracks, and it won't be able to do anything because of that. No, that's not necessarily true, because I'm using Unity's navigational system, which internally has its own update. So once it gets set with a point, it'll still move the game object, but it won't be able to shoot or anything like that. It'll just move, which is kind of weird. I don't really understand nav. Oh yeah. Using Unity Engine dot AI yeah, AI. Okay, which is kind of weird. So NavMesh agent Okay, we'll have to do nav mesh agent. Use a regular restore nav mesh. Okay, triangulate. Okay, yep. Nav mesh manager. You can't access the and tell it to pause, which is kind of dumb. I hate that. For the navigational on the Unity's nav mesh agent, kind of sucks that it's got its own update and it keeps going. I really, I'm going to look and see if we can't get rid of that, because if I don't get why they have it that way. I mean, I get the whole updation on its own thread and everything. That's probably why. But I don't get why you couldn't have some form of property that will tell it to not do it anymore. Like, completely pause. Okay? Like some event that you can do. And, okay, you guys probably don't know what I mean. And that's okay. We'll show you in a second. Okay? I'll show you what I mean. We'll go to here. We'll go let it compile like a crazy man. Oh, and this actually runs a heck of a lot better than what it used to. But we'll see it in the profiler. Okay. Hello. Oh, and Unity decided the GCD crashed to desktop on me. Are you kidding me? That is kind of crappy. And the really crummy thing about it is my recording software does not have pause, so I really cannot stop the video and like unpause later. I just have to make another cut and stuff. Well, that kind of poop. Poo. That's okay, but but I'm pretty sure you guys know what I mean. If you go into Profiler, there's a nav manager, and it is updating every single frame. Okay, and that's what it does. It updates every single frame, and it does that kind of stuff. It's probably the profiler that crashes it. But, yeah, here it is. Okay, we have Nav Mesh Manager. Okay, and you cannot access this. It's waiting for job group, components, transform, change, message, crowd proximity, results, collision, all that stuff. Okay, so it's running, okay, but I can't access anything with that, which is kind of sucky. Which nav mesh I wonder if I can access it with Unity Engine using Unity Engine dot internal nav mesh manager. No. refactor, generate, no. It will not let me access that. Gerfer, no. Well, that's dumb. There's no way I could do that. Bummer. It's probably some internal closed up class that no one can access. But that's okay. I mean, I guess if you're gonna put something that updates every single frame in the background, whether you have... Oh yeah, and by the way, it's always running in the editor. So you can't actually like get rid of it. Just like the physics 2D stuff, it runs in the background in the editor all the time. I think that's one reason why when you go into a build, it works so much better, is because it strips out all that stuff that you're actually not using whatsoever. If you never use the 2D stuff, it probably strips out that whole entire big old mess of code. And that's usually why your editor is so slow compared to the other stuff, is because it doesn't have all that extra junk running in the background. Because when you're editing, you have to have all that stuff to exist. But if you're never using it and you've got it in a build, then it's just going to take junk memory. It's going to take memory that you need, right? And that's how the whole thing works. It's if you're wondering about that concept and everything else, go into in the API and type in code stripper or code stripping, and it will bring up a whole big old section over it and how it works and what to preserve and what not to. There's even attributes you can put in that will save code to always exist if you start having problems. But I think this video has gone on long enough, and I think you've got a good enough concept that you can really do a manager of a tick little thing like I did in this one. And I kid you not, with this for loop and that spacing for the detection, it's 100 times freaking better than having... Oh, it runs so good. I'm not even gonna lie. It runs so great. But thanks for watching, guys. I will try to get you guys some more tutorials and stuff like that going on pretty soon for the whole tower defense, FPS, and some other stuff. But you know how it goes. It takes a while to do this stuff, man, and it takes some testing. So peace out, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe the next video will probably be over generating power and some other stuff like that. So it's probably not going to be a very interesting one, but I will post one just in case people don't understand how that works. It'll probably be like a small 10-minute video or something like that. Or I'll probably put something else in the video as well. But for any case, peace out, everybody. Take care, and hope you enjoyed the tutorial on how to use inheritance with, the whole all units. Because it was very interesting and quite good to do. I didn't mind it. So peace out, take care, and this is War over and out.